trying to conform his teachings to modern changes. Modern changes may be there, but that is not the position of the Acharya, to try to fulfill the speculations and the sense gratificatory pursuits of various mundane persons. That has never been the position of any of our acharyas. Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, all the great acharyas in their line, Nimbarka, Vishnu Swami, Vallabhacharya, our Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the six Goswamis, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Narottam Das Thakur, Baladev Vidyabhushana, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, our Srila Prabhupada, none of these acharyas have ever compromised the standard of Bhagavad philosophy, of Srimad Bhagavatam, because of some popular opinion or some society fad or some society changes.
We're writing a new story right now. We have to.
There is a certain basic understanding that all of these acharyas had. These acharyas are liberated souls. These are highly accomplished Vedic scholars. They are pure souls who do not commit mistakes, have the tendency to cheat or under illusion. The four defects of material existence, of conditioned souls. They are not normal conditioned souls. So if a conditioned soul tries to criticize the position of an acharya, of a great acharya, based on some mundane social changes or some mundane social conception, it can be a great offense. Great offense. There was one conversation in 1976 in Los Angeles where some devotees, some disciples of Srila Prabhupada came to him and they said, well, in the Krishna book, Prabhupada, there are some references to millions and billions of servants and of devotees, but we can't preach like that to people. People will not understand that. And as some of you who may know, Srila Prabhupada sometime was very, very sharp in assessing the situation very quickly. And Prabhupada, for you, you don't have to bother with that. You don't have to think about that. You don't have to preach from that. In other words, if somebody doesn't have sufficient faith and sufficient respect for the position of the Acharya and the position of the sacred Shastras or revealed scriptures, then sometimes the Acharya will say, you can disregard that. You can disregard that. Of course, if one is a little intelligent and not rebellious and not confrontational, if one understands the position of the Acharya, then it's not difficult to accept, even though one they may not comprehend according to our mundane logic or mundane perception. Just 2 days ago or 1 day ago, I sent a private email to a few devotees. And basically, it was a list of various dynasties of India, of emperors. We have the modern history of the last few hundred years or this last century, but there's a long history in India of various, all the way from Maharaj Parikshit to Chandragupta dynasty, Pallava dynasty, Chola dynasty, so many great Vaishnava dynasties with very advanced civilization. One time there was a conversation with Srila Prabhupada where people asked Prabhupada, why is it that in the West we don't hear about these great achievements of Indian civilization long time ago?
Here in Canada,
and Prabhupada said, because you are prejudiced.
At 10 a.m.
You are biased according to your conditioning.
On Saturday morning.
Your Western conditioning.
All glories
so when
to
one looks at the
Sankirtan
Shastra, whether it's the
Chaitanya
intimate
Mahaprabhu,
pastimes of Radha Krishna or the various comments by the Acharya, simply we have to remember who we are dealing with.
this morning.
What is the
to
level of these
read from
personalities
the
who have made these
original,
commentaries and
unadulterated,
purports?
unedited books that Srila Prabhupada has
There was a story that I
blessed us
heard
with
when I was in Vrindavan.
during his manifested
Now, I did not
presence.
find that story anywhere in
I had
Prabhupada's
the
books or
opportunity, by the
conversation.
way, Yashodananda
Some devotee
Prabhu,
had come
to
from Bengal and he
listen to
told
a
me the
class
story.
given in
Gorkishore Das
1972
Babaji, he used to
July
fast on
6th,
Ekadasi, near Jal Ekadasi,
from
no
London,
food, no
England.
water. So one
And
time,
it
while
was
observing
the
Ekadasi,
first
he got into a trance. He was chanting and
verse
got
of
into a very
Bhagavatam
ecstatic trance, and he kept
that
fasting until the
Prabhupada
next
was
Ekadasi.
speaking from.
And even though people tried to offer
And
him
he
some
took
food
a
stuff,
specific
he was so
role
absorbed in chanting
in
that he
having
fasted
the
for 15
devotees
days. Now, this is not for
chant the
common men. Nobody
mantras,
should try to
the mantra
imitate this.
over and over again,
Nobody
and
should think,
correct
oh, I'm going
them
to follow
in
in his
their
footsteps and become a really big devotee and fast for
pronunciation.
15 days. No, that is not to be
So I've
done.
noticed
But the
in our
point is
group,
that these great
a lot of
acharyas
people
can do
just
things
sit.
that are beyond
If you're on the screen, that's quite
the
fine.
neophyte devotees,
You just
beyond
sit
the
and
common
watch.
devotee.
You don't speak, but you can turn your
All of these great
microphone off,
acharyas in our
and you can
sampradaya and other
chant
sampradaya, they were
along with
devotional and
Yashodanandana.
intellectual giants.
That's the idea, so that
Those
you can
of you
learn
who
how
have
to
been born in
do
India, you know,
the chanting,
in
the
India they
Sanskrit
have this
chanting
called Sapta
properly.
Chiranjeev,
One thing I
7
wanted to
immortal
mention to everyone
souls that
was
do not die,
that when
like
Prabhupada was
Hanuman,
going to open the Bombay
Vedavyas,
temple,
and
they have
others who are still living.
different Brahmins, Smarta
Vedavyas
Brahmins
is still
in
living.
India that
Hanuman
chant
is said to be
mantras
still
and
living.
do fire sacrifices.
Other great personalities are also
And
still living.
Prabhupada had asked
There is a
Yashodanandana
story in our
Prabhu
sampradaya,
to
the
be
Madhvacharya's
the
brother,
pujari,
Vishnu
to be the
Tirtha.
priest that would
Vishnu
perform the
Tirtha is said to be still
sacrifice
living
for
in the mountains
Srila
of
Prabhupada in
Subramanya,
the opening
southeast
of
of
the
Mangalore,
Bombay temple. He
in
may
South
speak
India,
about that
in the
later for
western
us.
part of South India.
But irrespective of that,
And
then
he
he was
has the
also
copper
appointed
plates
as the
of all the teachings of Madhvacharya
headmaster for the
to be
school
revived
in
when Kali Yuga will
Vrindavan
be very,
during
very much
Prabhupada's
advanced to try to revive the
manifested
teaching.
presence. So
So if somebody
Prabhupada
is so
obviously
eager for
saw
a
some
living
kind
guru,
of
try to find them.
special, how can I say,
Somebody can go to
ability
Himalayas in
in
Badrinath.
Yashodanandana
Vedavyas is
Prabhu
said to be living there.
to present the
Somebody can try to find
philosophy
him.
in a
It
way
is
that he
not
wanted
like
it.
I've
Because
often
the
given
idea
that
is,
quote where
and
Prabhupada
this is very
described
important, Ram
that
Raghava,
his Guru
we cannot
Maharaj on the
concoct
disappearance day of his
philosophy.
Guru Maharaj,
We cannot
Prabhupada
manufacture
said it is not that he's
philosophy
dead and gone.
according to our
That is
so-called
not
mental
spiritual
speculation,
understanding.
which goes on constantly
That is why
amongst
it
many
is
God
forbidden in the
brothers, not
Shastra
specifically in our group at all,
for
but
mundane
especially
persons
in
or
the ISKCON
ordinary
group,
persons or
or people
neophyte
that have
devotees
left
to
the
look
ISKCON
upon the
group
spiritual
and
master
gone to the
as an
Gaudiya Math.
ordinary man.
Oh,
Guru
yeah.
Sunaramati,
And, you know, I have a chance myself, and all
very
of you do
dangerous
as well,
position.
to be
Very dangerous
independently,
position to
you
do
know,
that. If one
engaged,
does not
using your
understand
time
or
to
does not
listen to
comprehend
different
something,
people that speak
that may be due to
from these
conditioning or
different
neophyte level,
organizations,
whatever.
and
But
get
one
a
should not
sample of
defy
how they're
the
presenting,
acharya.
why they're presenting the
Very
philosophy
dangerous
for your
position.
own
Anyway, we'll
discrimination.
open the discussion.
You know, I
Question,
know Ram
remarks.
Raghava, me
Hare
and you
Krishna.
have associated with thousands and thousands of people, especially from your work. And
No questions,
especially in my
anyone?
work over the years, I
Oh, we
mean,
had-
We can
whether
go
it
on
was running
reading.
the ISKCON Toronto
We had a couple
temple,
of hands raised.
which has the largest
Bhakta
East
Ulysses,
Indian community in North
and
America.
then Balram
So
Prabhu and
lots of
Jiva
experience
Goswami Prabhu.
working with different people, not only
Okay,
them,
Balaram
but
Prabhu,
with
Hare Krishna, go
all of the
ahead.
new devotees from
Hare
there,
Krishna,
and then
Prabhu.
running music
Just a very
festivals
short
and
comment
businesses and all that
regarding
kind of
the
thing. You
wonderful
meet
dynasties,
people, and you can
past
discern
Vaishnav
the character of the
acharyas and
person by
great
association.
rajas. At
So,
the end of, I just
like
finished
that,
the end
it
of the
is
9th canto, and that
something
is the
that we
most
should
beautiful
understand. Do
description
not
of all of the
concoct
wonderful dynasties going back from
philosophy. That's
Parikshit
what people
Maharaj
do. They
right
make it
through.
up.
So
It's
wonderful reference there for
it's
those
a disease
dynasties
based on
and the
false ego
amazing
on the mental
the
platform.
amazing activities
The
of
mental
those great
platform.
kings. Hare
Because the
Krishna.
subtle body is very
Very
active.
nice. Jiva Goswami Prabhu.
Earth,
Hare
water,
Krishna.
fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
So the mind,
Thank you
the
so much.
intelligence,
I
and the
wanted to
false
know
ego
how
of the
we,
living
as
entity
neophyte
is
devotees, can
intact
detect the more
while
subtle
they're in
forms
the
of
material
lust
body.
in our daily
And
lives.
there's so much insanity,
Not
really.
the dramatic lust
As
that
we all know,
Bilamangala
the
Thakur had,
karmis,
but
they're
something that
completely
might
on the mental
affect
plane.
us in our daily
And
lives.
they concoct everything that they do, they manufacture.
What do you
Everything
think
based
Prabhupada
on
recommends?
empirical research,
I think he
mundane
recommends
speculation,
the four regular
mundane
principles,
fantasy,
chanting Hare Krishna,
mundane
and then reading his books.
egotistical desires to become
Yes,
famous,
that is
rich,
a very good point.
prominent. It's just
Anybody else any
it's
comment
like
on
a
that?
disease. It's like a cancer. So, like that, Prabhupada was showing us, even back then, Yashoda
In the
Prabhu,
Bhagavad Gita, there's a
Nandana Prabhu.
description of the
It was
various kinds
interesting
of
to note
association with
while
women.
while he's
And
listening to this class, and again, the
Basically, there
class
was
is
one
July
great rishi in
6th,
Vedic times who
1972.
recognized there are many different
So I want
kinds
everyone to
of
go to it and
association with women that
at your own
constitutes
leisure and listen
illicit
to the class and
association.
see how Prabhupada
I used to know the
corrects.
Sanskrit verse, but I don't know
Like,
it
for
now.
example, he
But
corrects
basically, one should
Kirtananda, who's in the
control the
class, who can't chant
association
Sanskrit with a
so that
beanpole.
he does not become
Useless.
bewildered.
Of course, he turned
It is very
out to be
easy in the
totally,
material world to
not
be
only
bewildered
useless,
by
very
lust.
offensive.
Prabhupada, in
Extremely
one
offensive.
lecture,
This was unfortunate
explained
for him
that there
and
are
for anybody
6
that was with
waves
him, but this is the history.
constantly
But
attacking the
Prabhupada was
conditioned
working
soul.
diligently with
Kama,
everyone,
Krodha,
trying
Lobha,
to teach
Mada,
his
Moha,
students
Matsarya.
how to follow
Lust,
this
anger,
process
greed,
properly,
madness, illusion,
so
and
that
envy.
we could represent
In other
him
words,
to
we see in the
his god
Bhagavad Gita,
brothers and
Kama,
other people in
Krodha
India that
is
we were
described as lust
qualified
and greed, that these are the 3
devotees of
paths
Lord
to the lower
Chaitanya
regions.
and of our
It
disciplic
is a path of
succession. This is
degradation.
the
One should
idea.
learn to control the
Try
senses.
to stay
And
focused
that is
on
why
that.
these various
And
restrictions
with
are
that,
given
opening
by
little
the Acharya.
remarks, and
But
please,
some may
so
say,
it's
well,
July
it's pretty
6th,
difficult to do that. Well, if one
1972.
engages the mind
Daniel, go to that
in
class later
serving
on
Krishna,
YouTube. Listen to
according
it
to
and
the
study
direction of
how
the Acharya,
Prabhupada was
then one
trying
can
to
get the
teach
mercy of
us
Krishna.
to be Vaishnavas.
We have the
And by the way,
Madana Mohan
he
deity, that
chants
Krishna,
along with the devotees as well, very
Mohan is the
enthusiastically.
demigod that
So he's
basically
not just
affects the lust between all living
showing
entities
us,
in the material
he's
world.
actually
Cupid. There's a
practicing
personality.
the
There's a
chanting in
demigod
front
that
of us
controls that.
to help us all get
So
fixed
this
up in
Cupid,
Krishna
Madan,
consciousness.
can
We're
be
going to go to
controlled.
our beautiful
Krishna can
reading
bewilder
of
even
Prabhupada's
Cupid, can
diaries.
subdue
Here we
even
are.
Cupid.
The Jaladuta
And that
diary,
is
there's the
done
wonderful boat.
by following the
And
instruction of
Vinkat
the
Bhatta
Acharya.
Prabhu,
There are
are
so
we
many
at
things that has to be
Sunday,
done. Just like we
September
do the
20,
Ekadasi
or
fasting,
August 22nd?
we're supposed to get
Is
up
that where
early
we
in the
are?
morning, do the program,
Do you
do the
recall?
I think
chanting,
we
do the
finished
japa,
August
guru
17th,
puja,
but I don't have
Tulsi
the
puja, Bhagavatam,
picture
I
after
had
that.
sent it
hearing,
the other day.
chanting Hare Krishna, like that,
It's
to
still in
regulate
your.
the senses.
Okay, let me check.
If we let
Yeah,
the senses
please.
out of control, it is very difficult
These
to
pastimes that
actually make
we're
progress.
studying at
So
the
that's why
beginning of the
these
class
various
are also
restrictions are
very
there.
insightful, Daniel.
Hare
Very
Krishna.
insightful.
Yes, Ulysses, go ahead.
And if you want to take a leadership role, follow the leader.
Hare
Prabhupada.
Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Prabhupada.
Do you see it, Vinkat Bhatta?
I've in my spiritual life,
it's
I've
under-
had the
Reading
problem that
I
that
think
page
my-
number,
I
well,
was pretty much
520,
like this
just above that.
prostitute,
Yeah,
where he mentions in the
I
verse
think I
Chintamani.
read
So my
19, didn't I?
My
Or
guru
maybe not. No, I
fell
didn't.
down really bad.
So
it was disastrous.
I'll read on here.
experience. It was
Actually,
very
we did
similar
read
to
it.
this getting
So
initiated
I'll
by
start at
someone who
Friday the 20th.
fell
Today,
down or was fallen.
2865,
But,
the
we see in
captain
the
arranged
purport that
for a meeting on
Prabhupada
board
mentions
the
respect is
MV
equal.
Jaladuta on account
So,
of Janmashtami Day.
I'm confused because I thought one
And
is
I
supposed
spoke for an
to
hour on the
reject
philosophy and
if,
teachings of Lord Sri
he's
Krishna.
fallen, and so there's no more point
All
in
the
showing
officers
respect to that
attended the
person
meeting,
because he's the one who
And there was
introduced me to
distribution of
Krishna
prasadam.
consciousness and so
Thank
on.
you.
So
The matter
should I
was
be respectful
Radiographed
to that person even though it's now
to
fallen? Mention-
Sumati Mukherjee
And
in
that
Bombay.
other question is linked
she's
to
following
the
Prabhupada's journey.
is Chintamani considered
She was
Bhartma.
concerned that
The
everything would be
technical
okay.
term is Bhartma,
Good- be okay for
Guru.
him. And she was a devotee of Krishna, of
introduces.
course. The ship is
That would be
stranded
the
on the
same?
Arabian Sea,
Thank you.
about 4 miles away from the
Well,
coast.
the
We are in
point
this
is, how
position from
deep is the fall
3:20
down?
p.m.
And is the fall down
28:65
something that is
8:30
still
a.m. on
ongoing, or is it
to 8.
an
Yeah, it's
occasional
severe.
fall down?
Whoa. So
Severe,
that's over 2 days. It appears.
full
A lot
bottom.
of patience. Sunday on the
Well,
22nd.
The point is, one should
At
not
about
follow
10
a fallen
a.m., we are
person.
now in the dock.
A fallen person is
yard
not
of
someone
Cochin. The dock is
that can really
peculiar
give proper
because
spiritual
because
guidance.
it is by nature full
So
of small
that is
islands.
why in the Shastras it says that the Acharya
Some of the islands
or
are
Acharya
full
should
with
be on a
nice
certain level
huts,
to be able
formerly
to
known
help
as British
other
Island.
practitioners.
I saw my books from Bombay.
So
Arrived in
if the
5
person
cases,
is fallen and serious
and
fall
the
down, he
agents
should be
loaded
rejected.
them on the ship at 4 p.m.
And we can wish him. We can
on
all, as Vaishnavas, we can all wish every living
22/865.
entity, every
agent,
other Vaishnavas, that they recover from
Mr.
their
Jariam and
difficult
Sons kindly
situation.
sent their car for
as
my
far as
driving
why
in the
people
city.
fall down and all
Out
of
the
these
group of
things, there could
islands,
be so many
2 big
different
islands
reasons
joined by an iron
why these things happen.
overbridge, as known as Cochin.
But we're not concerned
Cochin
right now with
and
all of these
Ernakulam.
different reasons.
The iron bridge.
The point
the
is,
iron
we do know
bridge was constructed
for
by
a
the
fact
Britishers,
that we can basically
nicely,
follow
along
Srila
with
Prabhupada,
railway lines.
that we can follow his
The
guidance.
railway line is
We can
extended
follow
up
his
to the port.
instruction.
There are many
We can
flourishing
follow his
foreign
teachings.
firms and banks.
And we do know
It is
that this
Sunday.
works.
The
Now, as far as
bazaar
those
was
people who claim, well, you
closed.
can't do that unless you have a
Moving
living
forward to the
guide.
next page,
Well,
page
Prabhupada is
47.
living. He's living in
Have you
sound.
got that?
He's living
Oh,
in
no,
his
I don't have
deity.
it.
He's living in his picture.
Hold on.
He
Okay,
is
I'll just
there.
read it. Sorry.
His
everyone.
Vani is there. His Vani
I
incarnation
was
is
a
there.
particular.
So one has
particular
to
kind of
basically
plantain.
understand
I saw a
what
particular
is the
kind of
best
plantain
association.
available in this part
The
of the
best
country.
association has to be
The island
done,
known as
has to be
Cochin
gotten.
is not an
Basically,
up-to-date city.
One has to take advantage
The
of it.
roads are like
Prabhupada
narrow
did not
lanes.
write his books so that they would become
part of the city
obsolete
where
on
the
the
foreigners
14th of
are
November,
residing are
1977.
well maintained.
No.
Oh yes, we do. Thank you.
These books were written for all future generations of devotees.
The building
His
factories,
current
etc.,
disciples
all
and
big
future
as well,
disciples, future followers.
maintained. The Mohammedan
there.
quarters are separate from the
So
Hindu quarters
we're not so much
as usual
concerned about fallen
in other
persons,
Indian cities.
whether or not we should still have some association with
part
or
known
guidance
as
from such
Ernakulam
persons.
is up
We
to
can wish
date.
them the best.
There
We
is a
can
nice
wish that they
park on the
recover,
bank
but
of the
now
Gulf,
it's time to focus on Srila
and it is
Prabhupada.
named Subhas
Hare Krishna.
Bose Park.
Yes,
It is
Balaram
good that
Prabhu, I see you have
Subhas
your hand up.
Babu is popular in this
Yes, Prabhu.
part of the
Hare
country.
Krishna. Just a point on
I saw
Jiva Goswami,
the Kerala High
Prabhu's,
Court and the public
points
buildings.
of
The High
following
Court being
the regulative
situated
principles and chanting the
in
16 rounds.
Ernakulam. It appears
I
that
find
the
so
city
important also
is capital
the
of Kerala.
association of devotees.
This
That
part
is,
of India
to me,
resembles
so
Bengal
important.
scenario,
And
and the city
many of us now, we're
Ernakulam,
all
also Cochin,
fragmented
appears
or separated
to
from
me
our
like
traditional
old
Vaishnava
Kaligat
lives in the temples. You
or
know, temple
Toligunj
president for
area
14
of
years,
Calcutta.
and so
The culture is
many of us have had so
Indian
much
as usual.
association. But over the last
Interesting.
couple of
Kaligat.
decades,
I
that
just wanted to
close
comment.
association is
I
not
used
there.
to go
So
to Calcutta
I'm
on
so
a regular
thankful for
basis,
the wonderful opportunity
and I,
that
when I was the
yourself
president
and
of the
Vishwakarma
Toronto
and the
Temple,
Prabhus have provided
for
so
the
that we can have this
Mayapur festivals, and I
association.
used to be
And
short
that's what we have
of
to seek out.
I used to
because
stay
I
with
think association
the,
makes us strong. Srila
not the
Prabhupada gave the
Hinduja
example.
family.
One stick can be broken, but you take a bunch
It's
of
another
sticks, hold
prominent
them
family.
together,
The
and
fellow
they
was
can't be broken.
the head
So
of the Chamber of
very
Commerce
thankful for this wonderful
for
association. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Calcutta.
Yes, Vishwakarma
And,
Prabhu, please go ahead.
His house, Prabhu,
Thank you very much.
was right next door
I wanted
to the
to address
Chaitanya Mat in the Kali
two questions.
Ghat
One
district,
from Jiva Goswami.
right next door to it.
I'm
And I
going
got
to
a
refer
chance
to
to
the
go over
Bhagavad
to
Gita
that
for the answer. I mean, we were all
temple they
troubled
had,
by
and go through
material
their
desires,
libraries and see their books and
fickle
get some
mind.
chance
Let's
to
put it that way.
check
is,
out the Gaudiya
unruly,
Mat at Kali Ghat in India.
Untamed. It was
So,
very
in
difficult to
Calcutta.
control. And
It was a very
one has
fascinating
to
time for
bring
all
it
of
under
us
control by
back
the
then.
practice of
With His divine grace,
remembering
A.C.
Krishna
Bhaktivedanta Swami,
through the chanting
Srila
of the holy
Prabhupada.
name, and
And we'll move forward now
really
with the chanting of Jaya Radha
refocusing
Madhava,
the mind when it
and
wanders
then by Srila Prabhupada. So
in
chant
a
along, everyone,
indecent
in
way,
the verses at the beginning of the
refocusing it
class.
back
If you
on
listen to the
the
July 6th
transcendental
class, you'll get the
activity
idea
of devotional
directly
service.
from Prabhupada, how
That's
we'd like
one,
everyone to
I've-
participate
Personally,
in our
I
programs
find when my
here
mind
at
does
the Prabhupada
wander,
Disciples
Jiva Goswami,
Association, Hare Krishna
for whatever
Society,
reason, it just seems
weekly
to be
sadhana program. All
out of
glories
the
to Srila
blue.
Prabhupada.
You get all these
If you're thinking of
memories
selling your
of the
house,
past or
want to know
whatever.
how much more you could be getting by
I
using
always
this brand new way
I
to
always
sell? The real
concentrate on changing my thought process. So what happens is if you dwell on it, then it starts to grow into a troubled area. But if you change your activity, or like say someone, my mind might be wandering in some particular way, and then all of a sudden someone will call me up, a devotee will call me up, and we start a conversation, and boom, whatever thoughts were in my mind, they go away, and then my mind shifts into that conversation of Krishna consciousness that we're having together, and it just, you go on. It's just fighting the mind is an ongoing process for everyone that's in this material world. So you can conquer them. Krishna says, thus a man's pure consciousness is covered by his eternal enemy in the form of lust, which is never satisfied and which burns like fire. The senses, the mind, and the intelligence are the sitting places of this lust, which veils the real knowledge of the living entity and bewilders him. Therefore, O Arjuna, best of the Bharatas, in the very beginning, curb this great symbol of lust by 1. Regulating the senses, and slay this destroyer of knowledge and self-realization. So we've all read the Gita and we know that, but it never hurts to go back and refer to these wonderful verses to give us some direction. Number 2, in relation to Rishi's question about his so-called, he called him a guru. Now, this particular issue of this person that you called a guru was, that's the first mistake. Because somebody introduces you to Krishna, that's okay. They have some credit for that. But if that's all they do, then there's not much in that. Really, Krishna consciousness is much more than simply introducing somebody, give them, for example, I gave a Bhagavad Gita to a devotee, Bhakti Marg Swami. So you could say, in a sense, I'm his Vartma Pradarshika Guru. We were on Sankirtan, I gave him a book. Okay, good. Then we encouraged him to move into the temple. He came there, I was his temple president. I was instructing him. So you could say I was helping him in his path. So like that, we may take different roles in helping each other. But if a person is posing themselves as a Diksha Guru, when in fact he's not a guru, he's a fraud. Now this guru system that was introduced in Prabhupada's organization was based on a faulty system that was inherited by people from people that had already fallen down. In other words, we had an initial group of 11 people that took the role of Diksha Guru, and eventually most of them fell down, and then instead of changing the approach to the mission, they just transferred it to these other people, and they expanded it to 150 people, which I believe one of these people was a person you knew, correct? Ulysses? Was it somebody you knew or met or was authorized? Huh?
He was rejected from ISKCON, and then he started initiating separatists from ISKCON.
Yeah, okay, so he's just a renegade, a guy that's on his own, he's doing this. Okay, that's fine. There's lots of people that can go out and speak and talk. They can get on the pulpit. That's common. People are, nowadays, especially with the internet, everybody can get a microphone, everybody gets a camera, everybody gets online, they can speak to thousands of people, and all of a sudden they become a guru. Does that mean it's authorized? No. That's why the point is this. And, I appreciate one thing about you, that through all this difficulty, you're here at this meeting, right? You've been through a lot of trouble, and I'm not blaming you for anything. Trust me. I blame my God brothers who misrepresented themselves and are continuing to do that to the general population and are not authorized to be in the position, according to Prabhupada's directions, to represent him as Diksha Guru. What are we going to do? Take a Bhagavad Gita like this?
Offering respectful obeisances, one, to the personality of
all
God,
of you know what it's like at the beginning? We have the list of the disciplic succession here.
Who is the supermost human being.
It shows
3, to the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning.
32 people.
Then 4, to Srila Vyasadeva,
is this the right side?
The author.
32. Now, what are you going to do? Are you going to add in another 150 people below on this line? Are you going to do that? Is that what you're going to do? I don't think so. This is all false. And this hypocrisy is going on, and you're the victim of it. And I do apologize for this happening, even though it wasn't my fault. We are speaking out about it now and in the future to make sure that this kind of activity doesn't go on the way it is, with the way it has gone on, with all these people that have created this situation. Haribol.
Yes, Vaishnav Prabhu, please go ahead. Shri Rupam Sagrajatam.
Yes, I'd just like to comment
Sahaguna
continuing on from what Vishwakarma says, which I agree with. But what I'd like to say is that it's not proper to compare Chintamani, although she may be a prostitute, is mentioned in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, with one of these fallen ISKCON gurus, because it may be that Chintamani, in the social system at the time, we can understand from the Krishna book that when Krishna and Bala went to Mathura, all the ladies greeted them, and many of them were prostitutes. Also, even in Dwarka, there may have been prostitutes, but because of the social conditioning, we can understand that they were pure devotees. So the same with Chintamani, she may have been acting as a prostitute because of the social conditioning, but she's respected by the author because she inspired him to take seriously to spiritual life. So we can understand that this Chintamani is not an ordinary woman or an ordinary prostitute, and therefore it's not proper to compare her to these fallen ISKCON gurus. That's my comment. Hare Krishna.
I'd like to read something from the Srimad Bhagavatam. This is from the 3rd canto, 29th chapter, text number 16. Prabhupada says, all the devotees sees all living entities on the level of spiritual existence. He's not interested in associating with everyone. Simply because a tiger is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord does not mean that we embrace him because of his spiritual relationship with the Supreme Lord.
Before we start,
We must associate only with persons who have developed Krishna consciousness.
That we are reading
We should
Bhagavad Gita, but
befriend and
yet
offer
you are
special
quoting
respect to persons who
from
are
the
developed
Srimad
in Krishna
Bhagavatam in
consciousness.
the beginning of
Other
this
living
reading.
entities
Why
are
is that?
undoubtedly part and parcel
Well, why is that? Is the
of the
Bhagavad
Supreme
Gita
Lord.
is
part
But
of the
because their
Mahabharata,
consciousness is still
the
covered and not
100,000
developed in Krishna
verse
consciousness,
compilation
we should
by Srila
renounce their
Vyasadeva and Sri
association.
Ganesha.
It is said by
In the
Vishwanath
beginning of the
Chakravarti
Mahabharata,
Thakur
that same verse
that even if
appears.
one is a Vaishnava,
Narayanam
if he's not of
namaskritya
good character, his company should be
narancheva
avoided.
narottamam
Although he may be
devim
offered the respect
saraswatim
of a Vaishnava.
vyasam tato
Anyone who accepts
jayamudiraye.
Vishnu as the
That
Supreme
the
Personality
offering
of
of
Godhead,
obeisances
he's accepted as a
and
Vaishnava.
respectful homages
But a
to
Vaishnava
great
is expected to
personalities,
develop all
this
the
is
good
considered the
qualities of the
norm, the
demigods.
proper
Again, the
standard
foregoing
before
for
any
the third
discussion
canto,
or
29th chapter,
recitation
text number
of the
16.
text of
Now,
Srimad
this is a
Bhagavad
very
Gita.
important point
We
because
will
we
be
see
reading from the original,
that many
non-edited,
devotees will
non-adulterated
exhibit symptoms
1972
which are
Macmillan
not in
edition
line
of
with the
the
devotional
Bhagavad Gita.
standard. As a matter of fact,
Again,
this is
somebody
being
may say,
discussed
why are you
widely on
saying
the
this?
internet
Well, we're saying
with
this because
certain
it is well
devotees that used to
known
be in the
amongst
birthplace
the
of Lord Chaitanya
followers of A.C.
Mahaprabhu in Mayapur
Bhaktivedanta Swami
that were involved or
that
allegedly
following
involved,
his
to be a little
departure
tactful here
in
legally,
1977
in
in
some
November,
inappropriate
some of his
activities with
overzealous
beating